What's up, the YouTube, and welcome back to Guitar Slinger Hockey Channel. How many of you jokers have seen this image before? Oh yeah, I bet y'all have. But in the event that you haven't, what we're looking at is the new fit system that Bauer has implemented for 2020 for the Vapor and the Supreme line of skates. You may know there's no Nexus anymore, which is probably fine for the majority of the hockey population. Not many people wore that skate. But just to give you a quick rundown, we got the Fit 1, the Fit 2, and the Fit 3. So basically what they're trying to do is say Fit 1, low volume, narrow foot, Fit 2, medium volume, medium width, Fit 3, high volume, wide foot. I think that's a very cool idea that you can apply to both the Vapor or the Supreme skate. So maybe, now Vapor will be, let's pretend that you're a 7.5 skate size. You can choose a 7.5 Fit 1, Fit 2, and Fit 3. And in theory, the Vapor and the Supreme lines of skates should fit about the same. I've done a video about this in the past that you can take a look at, and most of that content I would still say is accurate. I have learned a lot since this point in time, and the reason I'm making this video is because I have particularly fallen into a category that most people do not, whereas none of these three fits actually fit my foot. And so I have become a candidate for going with a custom Bauer skate. If you take a look at some of my other videos that I've made as well, I've reviewed the AS3 Pro by the CCM SuperTac AS3 Pro. I have also had a retail 7.5 Fit 3 ultrasonic skate before. Just was having a hard time landing on a pair of skates, and actually had been skating on the AS3 Pros for a while, and they were just causing me too much pain on the ankle bones, and they were very stiff skates, even for me being 230 pounds. And so I just decided to bite the bullet and re-examine the skate and go with a custom skate. So the purpose of today's video is to say, for those of you who either don't fit in one of the three fit systems that Bauer is now offering, and you want to go custom, I wanted to let you know what you're going to go get, or excuse me, what you're going to get when you do custom. And I want you to know, after having some new experiences and having received my custom skates and having gotten a chance to skate on them, I now have a better understanding of what's going to happen if you need to go custom. And so with that said, I want to go over that, and this is going to be a fairly in-depth video today because of what I think you guys need to know if you do go custom. And by the way, custom isn't just for somebody who doesn't fit in any of the three fit systems like me. That just happens to be my case. But if you're just someone who wants a custom skate, maybe your feet are a half size or a quarter size difference, or something like that, then that would be an option for you as well. So I just want to explain how this is going to work based on my personal experiences and talking with the very awesome folks at the Bauer Custom Shop. So let's get into it. Okay, here we are. These are the very beautiful custom Bauer Vapor 2X Pro in the blue color. Right now there are a handful of different colors that you can go with. I didn't know that until I was doing a little bit of shopping for the skate, but I was pretty blown away by that. And honestly, it does cost an extra $100 to do it, but when you're already in for $1,300 in a pair of custom skates, why not? So maybe a little excess, but whatever. So before I really get into talking about the skate and the fitting experience and what you get, I think maybe what I'll do is give you some photographs of how the skates come and some of the different features of them. So I'll kind of clip into that right now with some other pictures. Okay, so here's how the skates come. I thought I'd note this just because it's a little bit different than what you'd get when you buy a retail pair of Bauer skates. They actually do go out of their way to do a little bit better job on the actual presentation of the skates. Yes, it's just a box, but I thought it was kind of nice. The box is even a bit nicer than what you would actually get from the store. But obviously, no one cares about this. But I just thought it was a neat thing that they did. But it would have been nice if they used a regular box and they shaved a few dollars off the price of the skates. But I digress. When you open the box up, you actually have this letter that is in the box, and it's basically congratulating you on making the leap into custom Bauer skates, and it's a fairly personalized note, and it gives you a little bit of insight into the people that made your skates. And again, it's a really nice touch that obviously doesn't have anything to do with your skates, but it is nice to feel the craftsmanship that's in it. One of the things that I will mention about it too is that most all Bauer products are made overseas somewhere. However, these skates in the custom shop are all custom made in Canada, as far as I can tell, and based upon the labeling on the skates and all that good stuff. So just a neat side note about it. And here they are again, just nothing really obvious right out of the box aside from the color. But the other thing that I will note about these is that the steel that you get on these skates is the LS Pulse TI, so the titanium version, or you can get the LS Pulse stainless steel version. I chose the Pulse titanium version just to give them a shot, see how they were compared to step steel black steel. And when you buy a retail Vapor 2X Pro, you will get the LS5 steel. Having skated on the LS Pulse Titanium now, the titanium versions are a step up from the LS5, but they're still not in the same category as flare steel with the DLC or step steel black steel. The only bummer about step steel is you can't get it anymore for toque holders. It's only for CCM and maybe True. You can still get it for True, but so it is an improvement, but still not as good as the other stuff. So it might be worth replacing at some point. They also come pre-profiled by ProSharp from the Bauer factory, so you can either get a superior profile, which is what I have, so 3 profiles on your steel, or a quad profile, which will give you a little bit more power, straight line speed. I like the agility of the Superior, which is why I selected it, but you get those choices. Whereas if you buy retail Vapors, you're going to have to pay extra to have that done. They also come sharpened from the factory, and I think the sharpening job was kind of mediocre. I had them done again just to clean them up a bit. But those are the 2 noticeable differences, the color as well as the steel that you're going to get. And here's just a little bit of a zoomed in look at the steel. You know, it is just what it is, LS Pulse Titanium. What I will say about it, and what I'll add, is that it does sharpen really, really nice for those folks that are sharpening your skates for you, or if you do it yourself. It's definitely an improvement over most of the other stuff that isn't considered aftermarket steel. So they are nice for sharpening, and I bet they'll keep an edge pretty well. Oh, one thing I will note about them. Having skated on them, there is substantially more bite than normal steel. I normally skate in 1/2 inch, had to bump it down to 5/8, and that fixed the problem. So just be aware of that. And that was on a variety of different ice surfaces, so just FYI. Looking inside the boot, everything should look fairly normal to you, except for the color. And the insole. I think that the insoles that come with pretty much every single retail skate suck. Even the CCM Ortho moves, those yellow ones, those bootleg super feet, as I call them, these are actually the old super feet that they discontinued, made by Curex. I think these are probably still the best skate insole, the best non-custom skate insole that exists. I did find out from Bauer that a lot of times when they make custom skates for their athletes, they're actually making custom orthotics to match the skates too, which I thought was interesting, but they wouldn't do it for average Joe just like me. But looking down in the skate, you can see that it's got the normal look of a vapor, except what I will point out is where you can see all those gray dots. Those are normally yellow in the retail model of the vapors, so that was just came along with the color matching that I chose, which I thought looks really good. And that's the Lock Fit Pro liner. You can also get like a fully grip liner, which looks similar to what's at the base of the skate. That doesn't have the pattern on it. You can do that for the entirety of the boot, but I think this one, the Lock Fit Pro, is just comfortable enough as it is. And of course, you got the injected eyelets, which I'll come back to. What I want you to notice is how flared up at the top of the boot the eyelets are, like from the top 3 eyelets. I'm going to come back to that when I talk about my review, my on ice review of them. And in this picture, this is just another angle where you can kind of see the gray pattern. It's the kind of a light silver gray. It's really neat looking. As well as you can kind of see the labeling on the tongue is speaking to the fact that it was a skate that's made in Canada. And that tongue that's in there is a traditional, well, I will say it's a recoil tongue that you would see on the retail model of the 2X Pro Vapors. I decided to keep that tongue in there for the simple fact that it's a thermoformable tongue that wraps the top of your foot better than other stuff out there, but you could technically go with a double felt tongue or a 4mm traditional thick felt tongue or a really thin tongue of some kind. I can't remember what they called that one. Bauer directly told me though that the thin tongue, people that are ordering that one are having some pretty bad lace bite problems, so I would stray you guys away from the thin one or the super thick tongue. So just a traditional felt tongue or this recoil one works great, but I like the recoil just because of the thermoformability. So, and on the front side of the tongue, you can kind of see where it's got a little bit of the blue color on it. That's kind of a mirror reflective color. It's pretty cool. As I said, you can get a number of different colors like red, green, gold, orange, yellow. So there's some pretty neat color options. And where you see the gray recoil, that's typically yellow in the retail model skate. I'm not a big fan of that color option. And, you know, if the skates fit me perfectly right off the rack, like the retail ones, I would have just accepted it. But since I had the chance to change all this stuff, then I went with it. But it's pretty cool. And now for one of my favorite parts of the skate, the Tendon Guard. This is, typical Tendon Guard that you'd see on a vapor skate, but it just looks really, really cool with that reflective blue coloring on there. It just, it's definitely got that pop factor to it. Might be a little bit much, especially because I'm mostly a referee, but whatever. But yeah, again, no real functional, practical differences other than it looks cool. I will say that the quality of my camera, not great. These actually, the skates, I will say, look much nicer in person. And also one of the things I'll mention too, there is a green pair of skates that you can get these in green, same with the Ultrasonics, but those greens kind of look dark, but when you see them in person, they're like pretty vibrant, kind of like a Trigger 5 stick might look. So something to think about if you are considering going custom and choosing the color and you want green, something like that. It is really nice, but I thought it was wasn't quite as nice as this one. Moving into the toe cap, so it has the same asymmetrical toe cap that you're used to seeing on the retail model of the Vapors. They are, what I will tell you about them, and I'll kind of show some pictures of this later on in the video, is that they are not the same toe cap as is on the Ultrasonic skate. I know there's been some questions about that, but they are not the same. I do think that the Vapor toe cap might be a little bit superior to that of the Ultrasonic, but it's subjective, right? But what I will tell, a difference that you cannot see in the custom Vapors versus the retail Vapor toe cap is that the custom Vapors come with a felt line toe cap, which is super cool. It keeps your feet a little bit warmer. It fits a little bit better in there. Probably adds a little bit of protection from taking a puck off the toe, but I thought I'd mention it. And here's a top-down view of it. Again, very ergonomic toe cap. You don't have to worry about your toe being jammed in there. You can tell that Bauer's 850 plus thousand scans have really paid off with their design on this one. I think it's great. And here's a view from the outside of the skate to kind of see how the toe cap attaches to the quarter package. I'm going to come back to this on the inside of the skate. So here we are looking at the inside of the skate where the toe cap attaches to the quarter package. You can see that there's two small rivets or attachment points, however you want to say it. So what is the significance of these? So this is really what's happening here is one of the rivets is holding on the injected eyelets and the other one's holding on the toe cap. I believe that's how the construction is put together. You'll see when I show pictures of the ultrasonic that this is different. So why do I bring this up? On these particular skates, as well as the retail model Vapor skates, there is lining, some like padding that crosses. It covers the seam in between the toe cap and the quarter package. This makes them comfortable, just frankly. And you can kind of see how there's an angle to the quarter package and the toe cap. It's not just straight up and down like maybe some previous generation of Bauer skates. So if you have any of those kinds of bumps on the joint of your big toe or on your pinky toe, there's a good chance that the bump will fit in between those two rivets on the padding. If you have a traditional sewn-on toe cap or the toe cap of the ultrasonic skate where it has one bolt, and I'll show you that in a little bit, you have the potential to be riding a pressure point on the metal rivet. And the padding isn't really thick enough, and so you'll have to really consider that and watch for that when you're trying on these skates, especially at the retail level. So I wanted to point that out. But these are the same as, these custom ones are the same as on the retail Vapors too. So here's a picture of the toe cap bolt on the ultrasonic skates. You can kind of see where it's positioned. It is definitely positioned in a better spot than previous generations of Bauer. But if you are kind of feeling that rivet at all when you try on the skates, please know there's no way to fix that. So you can't punch it, you can't stretch it, you can't heat mold it. There is nothing you can do about that. So it's either going to work for you or it's going to be something that you need to realize that that's probably not the right skate size or the right skate model for you. And that may mean that you can't even wear a Bauer skate, quite frankly, from having owned the AS3 Pros, the first pair of ultrasonics that I had, etc. So just remember, when you go and try on these skates, and you should try on these skates at the retail level, do you feel that metal rivet either on your pinky toe or on your big toe joint? If you don't, you're probably fine. But if you do, you're going to have to ask yourself, is it just a minor annoyance that you won't think about while you're skating? Or is it going to be a problem that you're going to try to fix? Because if you have that mindset you want to try to fix it, it is not something that can be fixed on that skate. I'm now 100% sure of that based upon my own experiences as well as talking with Bauer about it. Okay, and this next part is just the outsole. This is pretty similar to the one you'll find in the retail model of the Vapor 2X Pros. There is something different about it that I will share with you in the next couple of pictures, different from the retail model. But I will make a note. So we all know that CCM is the one-piece boot king, and maybe you could throw True in there with that one. But Bauer still is a two-piece boot. What I will say from my experience in skating with one-piece boots on the CCMs for so many years and Bauer's, the two pieces, there are definitely some responsiveness differences. Like CCM, I still think has some pretty darn good technology regarding the one-piece design, but there are unfortunately some negatives that I've experienced with it that kind of make the one-piece design not worth it for me. They really make a very, very stiff boot at the retail level in both the SuperTax and the FT2 jet speeds. And although you will get that responsiveness on the ice, you'll feel connected with the ice. The stiffness of the boot actually causes top of the ankle pain, depending on the type of, how technically sound your skating is. For me, it was backwards crossovers. I would definitely experience that. It was no fun. What I've noticed from skating in two-piece boots, for some reason, I feel like I have a little bit better agility. Bauer does not make as stiff of boots as CCM does. You can request different stiffness boots. Like I have a regular stiffness boot, but I could have chosen extra stiff if I wanted it. But even at 230 pounds, it's not necessary to get a stiffer boot. It's more or less just a preference thing. But I'm starting to find that maybe there might be something to the idea that there is a little bit better agility with a two-piece boot in that it flexes with you. But that's kind of just a personal observation, and it might be subjective. Okay, now here let's talk about something that I was a little bit irritated with at first. So basically, what we're looking at now are the custom skates. I've taken my insole out, and now we have this footbed thing that appears to be made of white polymer with a slight carpeting type of texture over the top of it. And so when we compare it to a retail model Vapors, there's something very different in the Vapor skate, and I will roll that in now. Okay, so here we are. We're looking at a regular retail 2X Pro Vapor, and it looks like it has a composite carbon fiber type of footbed in it. In my mind, this seems like the most modern technology that's out there that would be quote unquote better, stronger, lighter. I work in aerospace, and typically when we're talking composites, we like that more than polymers in a lot of situations. And so I was a little surprised to see that other footbed in a pair of custom skates. I did ask Bauer about this before I even ordered the custom skates, and they told me that I'd be getting this type of footbed unless they didn't understand my question, which is possible. But it is a difference, and I didn't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing. And quite frankly, now that I've thought about it, I don't think it's good or bad. I just think it is, and I'll explain why the footbed is the way it is. Okay, so looking back at this footbed, and I don't know what this thing is called, if it's called footbed or whatever, but no matter what pair of custom Bauer skates that you buy, you are always going to get this footbed, for lack of a better term. My understanding of why Bauer does this is to kind of create the forefoot width and the heel width for you specifically, and that is my understanding of why they do it. And so I think that the graphite composite ones that you're seeing in the retail skates are probably just all pressed out in a production line type of situation where, there's no customization, obviously. It's just a fit 1, fit 2, or fit 3 in the respective size, and it kind of speeds up the production process and creates consistency. And I think this is the point where an individual person is touching your skates and making them custom to you. So that's why I think that they're doing it. But at first I was a little taken aback because this is a type of footbed that you would typically see in a lower end Bauer skate. So that's my take on it. Okay, so one last thing I want to talk about fit between the two models of Bauer skates. So we got the ultrasonic on the left and the vapor on the right. Are the toe caps and the forefoot width. And so right now I'm speaking in terms of retail. So what I have learned since talking with Bauer, and this is a little bit different from the information that I mentioned in one of my previous videos, is that previously I said that the ultrasonic was a wider skate and a stiffer boot. What I have since found out is that the ultrasonic has a narrower forefoot by design than the vapor does, but maybe a little bit more heel width, and the vapor has a wider forefoot and maybe a narrower heel. And speaking in terms of retail, I have found this to be true now that I've gone back and tried the retail skates on again next to each other. And so you should know that when you go in there. If you're somebody that kind of has the wider forefoot and the narrower heel, the vapor is probably a better starting point for you. Obviously, I can't tell you for you specifically. You got to do that yourself. But I did notice that. And the other thing is that the vapor is actually the stiffer boot. The ultrasonic is a little softer, and the softness comes from the traditional eyelet system that the boot has. And the injected eyelets are very, very stiff, and that kind of creates that ability to be agile, according to the marketing, which I disagree with actually. But there is a little bit of a difference there. Vapor is considered the stiffer boot with the wider toe box and the narrower heel, and ultrasonic is the narrower toe box, forefoot width, I should say, with a little bit wider heel, a little softer, a little bit more volume. And that goes kind of against what I was the whole fit, the fit 1, 2, 3 system that they recently came out with. It is now true. Like, I now understand from speaking with the Bauer Custom Shop and trying these skates on again at the retail level, that vapor is still a low volume skate, even to this day with the new fit system. So please understand that when you're going shopping, that there are some fit similarities. Like if you're a fit 3 in one boot, you'll be a fit 3 in the other one. But if you're someone that needs a little bit more volume, you're going to want to go ultrasonic. If you want a little bit less volume, you're going to want to start off with vapor and go from there. So that's kind of speaking in terms of retail. Okay, so here is another thing that I want to share with you guys that's really important for you to know if you haven't gone and tried this stuff on yet. So the ultrasonic skate, I want you to take a look at the eyelet system. So obviously traditional eyelets, that's different than the injected ones. But notice that it has a very gradual slope to the eyelets. If you were to look at the vapors, it's more of a right angle with the eyelet system, the injected ones. So what that means is that this gradual slope is going to be better suited for somebody that has a higher instep, needs a little bit more volume. It's also going to provide better wrap and better stability over the top of the foot, which is obviously a big deal. And so that's going to be something that I noticed immediately on trying on the two various skates. So with that said, I think right now what I'll do is I will give you guys a little bit of input on how these custom skates actually ended up fitting me. Okay, so when I ordered these, I should let you know kind of a time frame. So these skates actually only took 4 weeks from order to arrival, which was pretty impressive. I've heard some stories that they can take up to a few months to arrive, but they did show up and very, very early, and that was exciting to me. So that's kind of like Christmas Day, right? But I went up to the shop and put them on to bake them, and they immediately felt snug. Pretty much everywhere except for the length. So the heel felt like it was pinching. I had pressure on the top of my foot. There was a little bit of issue with the width of my forefoot. Both feet, but predominantly my left foot. But I didn't really think anything of it, so I got the skates molded. And I was sitting at home. Usually, what I'll do is after I get them baked, I'll just kind of go home and put a hockey game on and watch and sit in them, that sort of thing. And they were okay. They definitely felt new and tight, just kind of like a pair of skates would be. But I have to admit that I was a little bit, I was like, these kind of feel like the retail stuff that didn't really fit me. And so I just decided I was going to go back up to the hockey shop, a couple days later, and go get them molded a second time because the heel was really pinching me. And so I got them molded the second time, and I that did alleviate some of the heel pinching, so that was good. But I still had the top of the foot and the side of the foot to deal with. So right now I'm going to roll in something that I did, and this was during that second bake. I did this as well. So to alleviate the pressure on the top of my foot and the kind of the width and the big toe joint, as you can kind of see, I did a trick that I learned from True Hockey, and that is basically to take 4 millimeters thick paper towel and use blue painter's tape and put it wherever the hot spot is on your foot. And so here we can see that I'm using it on the top of the foot and the kind of the side of the foot there next to where the big toe joint is. I did this on both of my feet and then put a Bauer compression hockey sock over the top of it, and then proceeded to bake my skates with that in there, because the theory is that it's going to create more space than you actually need, and then when you take all this paper towel stuff off, the skate is kind of going to recover a little bit, but still be a little bit more room than you had before, therefore giving you enough space. So I did this, and it definitely helped in addition to that second time I baked it. Okay, so now we're ready to go try the skate. And so I got a chance to skate on it for about an hour. And unfortunately, probably within the first couple of strides, I'd say, I decided that they were incredibly unstable. In fact, they probably would fall into the category of the most unstable skates that I've been on in recent memory. And the reason I would say that is because there was an incredible amount of side-to-side wobble on the skates, and it felt like I wasn't getting any support. It really negatively impacted my shooting technique as well as and just pretty much anything that required balance on one foot. And it was just something that I was a little taken aback by. I also noticed that I was having some, a little bit of numbness and tingling in both of my in my toes and both of my feet, and the whole skate just felt fairly tight and unstable. And I was just a little bit taken aback by that. And so after I was done skating the next day, I decided I was going to give Bauer a call. So when I got in touch with the Bauer fit experts, I asked them about these 3 areas. So basically the heel pinching, the top of my foot pressure, toes, that sort of thing. Didn't really bring up anything about the instability at that point, but they told me to email somebody from the custom shop, and they'd get back to me. So I did that, and I didn't hear anything. And they said they usually get back in 24 hours, but I didn't hear anything. So I decided to call the next day, and turns out I was sending an email to the wrong people, but just by happenstance, I got in touch with the custom department, and I sent him my scan, and he immediately was like, "Holy crap, you have the wrong skate." And I'm like, "What do you mean you have the wrong skate?" And he's like, "You are not in the right skate, you're not in the right size. Like, there's a lot of things about this skate that are wrong. I need to get my manager involved in this, and we need to work through this because this isn't the right thing." And so in my mind, I'm like, oh man, but like how this is custom stuff. I was scanned. I've tried on the 3 different fit systems. I know that technically speaking, in retail, I'm an 8 fit 3, and so the ball got rolling on the Great Skate Odyssey about custom skates, and so I think at this point, probably what you need to know is really exactly what happens when you order a custom Bauer skate and why my skate at the end of the day didn't fit. And by the way, there's no way I could have known this. So when you go and order a pair of custom skates, this is what's happening, at least now. I can't speak in years past, but what's happening now is when you get scanned, Bauer is going to take a look at what fit you are. So 1, 2, or 3. And then they're going to basically take that mold, the fit specifically. Like if you come in as a fit 2, they're going to say, okay, this person is a fit 2, so we're going to use a fit 2 quarter package. And they're going to say, okay, well, this person has a left foot that's a size 6 skate, and a right foot that's size 6.5 skate. So you'll get 2 different skate sizes, but the fit that the scan said is what you're going to get. And so I think that what it sounds like is for most people, this is fine. But if you're someone who has either abnormally low volume or abnormally high volume, which is my case, this will not work for you. So Bauer Custom is only kind of custom. So really all you're getting is specific skate lengths and your choice of a boot color. And you can choose things like possibly new lacing system, new tongues, things like that. But the important part about your skate when you order custom, turns out it is not actually custom. And it's not on the same level as True. It's not on the same level as the total custom that CCM does. So really, they're just kind of catering to people that have 2 different boot sizes and want maybe a different color, maybe their name embroidered on their tongue, that sort of thing. I didn't realize that made up 90-some% of their custom orders by retail players, just like kind of like me. Pro players are obviously a different story, but really what happened in my case is there's never been enough volume in a retail model Bauer skate, even in the new fit system, that they basically gave me a retail fit 3, left 7 3/4, right size 8. And if that didn't fit me retail, why would it fit me in custom? So I basically just got that retail fitting skate that doesn't fit, but in blue. Additionally, the volume, which you would assume would be the same between an ultrasonic and a vapor, is still different, as I mentioned earlier in the video. I thought by going custom that would kind of be irrelevant, but apparently it's not. And so somebody like me who needs a little bit more volume in their skate should have gone with an ultrasonic the whole time. So basically what's happened is Bauer is making me a brand new pair of custom ultrasonics and to fix the problem. I will say that Bauer's customer service is second to none with regard to this. None of this is costing me a penny. I don't have the skates yet, but I will definitely review them when they come in. But there are some major differences. So most people don't know this, but Bauer actually has a total custom program that's usually reserved for professional athletes or people like me who are just very rare cases where need something different done. And so what I did is I went into the shop yesterday and got refitted for custom skates. And what that entailed this time is we had a number of different sizes and volumes for me to try on of skates. And so they're making a Franken skate for me, basically. What it turned out that I needed after all this was said and done is I actually needed a size 10 boot that's cut down to a 7 3/4 left and an 8 right. And then both of those skates need to have a size 9 toe cap on them. And that's in addition to making sure that I'm in an ultrasonic skate. It was bonkers. I never thought of like there was anything like that. And that's usually the type of pro custom work they do for, like I said, pro athletes. But I didn't know that kind of thing existed. And then one of the other things that I'll mention about the eyeletting system is that the instability of these skates was coming from two factors. One, the major one, was the volume, but the other thing that I didn't expect was the injected eyelet system. The injected eyelet system does not wrap your foot or create stability like traditional eyelets. So that's something you guys might want to consider when you're shopping for custom skates. And something else that I'll just throw in here about stability, what we're looking at are my wife's skates that are on the right side, and they're a pair of older Supreme 1S skates. And what you'll notice, even though she wears a little bit smaller size than me, is if you take a look at my skates on the left, how much wider and flared they are at the top versus hers. That's a pretty big difference, and I do personally believe that the injected eyelets are causing the boot to do that a little bit, and that's on every single pair of Vapor retail or custom. And, you know, that is something that I think adds a little bit of instability to your skating. You know, that may not be too big of an issue if you're extremely lightweight, but from what I can tell, that is not a part of your skate that you can get tight enough to create stability. It doesn't have enough high ankle wrap. You know, whereas, you know, my wife's skates that we're looking at on the right, those definitely have a little bit better wrap. In fact, actually a lot better wrap. We combine that with the traditional eyelets and the felt tongue and all that good stuff. So that's just another visual example. So where are we with the custom skates? What's my final thoughts on this? So I would say that I've been super impressed with Bauer. Their customer service is absolutely great. You know, none of this stuff is costing me a dime except for the original skate cost, which was $13.80 after tax for all these features. So you are going to pay for it if you want it. Someone like me doesn't really have a choice. But, you know, what I will say is that they did a great job of helping me. And although I haven't seen the ultrasonics come back yet, the custom ones, I will definitely review those and see how all that stuff work and let you guys know. But if you are considering going the custom route, you definitely need to make sure that you've listened to this video and understand how Bauer puts somebody in custom skates. They're not really addressing any of the volume and not even really the width of your skates. They're just looking at fit 1, 2, and 3 and adjusting the length accordingly and possibly the color and the other specs. Maybe that's good enough for you. Hopefully it is. But if you're somebody like me that needs a little bit more like true custom fit, you're going to need to go out of your way to make sure that Bauer knows that. And the way you do that is actually working with your associate who's scanning you for the boots themselves. There are very specific note fields that need to be called out. You know, you need to say things like, hey, listen, my heel width really likes a size 10 skate, but my right forefoot needs a size 8 skate. You know, it needs to be detailed like that. But if you just scan it and have them submit it, you're really at the risk of getting the wrong size. And Bauer told me that. It's really important that the associate you're working with adds very detailed notes and the very specifics about what hurts, what feels good, you know, that type of thing. So in the end, I'm going to recommend these skates. Just make sure you do your research first. I will say that if you can fit into a retail skate, I probably would push you in that direction before custom, just because of this experience. But I have all the confidence in the world that Bauer can take care of you if you do. So thanks for checking out my long video, and let me know if you guys have any questions or comments.